Niha, historically, was inhabited by two Roman families. They were the source of financing the Roman Empire or the Roman district in the Middle East. As a settlement, it was much larger in area and size than what you can realize and see now. The earthquake that hit the Middle East was a basic cause for the destruction of the Roman Empire in the Middle East, destroyed Niha and buried the valley. These two families that they built the village, they were so rich they used to finance the regime and the system of the Roman political and military structure. All this has perished after the earthquake. The temples are buried from parts 10 to 11 meters with soil from the side of the mountains. During the plantation in front of my house, we were turning on the soil. We found a statue of a lion. I told them to stop and let's try to dig as if we're searching for something. When we reached the depth of 3.5 meters, there was the remains of roads with pavements that passed in front of my house towards the temples. Up in the mountains and in the village, you can see remains of destruction, big stones, parts of broken statues, stones with written Roman letters on them. Well, I have a big piece of land beside the temple. 90% of the excavations and the destruction is in it. I tried to prevent them during the mandate of President Tahrawi and the President Lahoud. It was a period of 18 years. I used to stop them for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, then they returned. There was no possibility to stop them. During the Ottoman Empire, there was a continuous big search. Whether the search was by small or big decisions, no one can say. But that continued even when the Germans came with the Turks and made the excavations. And even the elders, they didn't cooperate in the search. They were treated harshly by the Turks and the German army. The French also, they carried on. And it continued, as I have mentioned, during the Syrian mandate. It was as if planned and covered by leadership of a certain magnitude, not a small leader, a small military officer, or a small political man. Why is this in Niha? Is it because the told stories that was transmitted during the ages? Let's say these stories are transmitted from one generation to the other. It might be a reflection of a story from long ago, or it might be an imagination of someone. Certain books that were present in my house and they were took during the 1982 from my house. One of them was an old book written in Hebrew letters, covered with skin and copper sheets. And the man that lived in our house for a certain period, who left it and he died in our house, he used to say that there are something very important buried under Niha. fortune of a king, not a fortune of a rich man. I used to see the books. There was a very old Bible. It is 225 years old. It's still in the house. There was an very old book, Nahj al-Balagha. And that book, when they went into the house, every piece of furniture, every piece of antique, every weapon old from the Ottoman date to the only thing I did collect it was torn pieces of paper and the Bible. This was left by Isaac, the man who lived in this house. And the family took care of him, and he used to tell, if you can know what is buried under Niha, or you can recover it, generations can live and eat with a spoon of gold. And that was the term he used to say before he died. 7 small children with their mother and the sister of my grandfather and his mother. So the house was managed by 3 women. The book was taken in 1982 when they entered the house. It was before the collapse of Zahle, a regional international decision that the Syrian army will go into Zahle and the Lebanese forces will surrender and they will leave Zahle and go to Beirut. At that time, the people in Niha didn't know that big decision. The Syrian army turned the heavy artillery, they bombed Niha. Very few stayed in Niha, and the house was looted. Everything that can be carried. A painting, a book, pieces of cutlery, furniture, valuable things, nothing remained in the house. When we were young and used to go there, we have a piece of land between the 2 main temples of Niha. We used to be fascinated by the big buildings. And I always thought, what a civilization have built that big buildings. No war has destroyed the temple of Niha. They are destroyed by looters, explosions. We used to hear them in the night because the valley brings the echo of the explosions. Priceless ruins, scavengers in the shape of human beings. إن بتتخيل جربوا يحولوا نيحة منطقة صناعية، قتلتهم بكل شيء وكل الدنيا كانت ضدي. تتخيل هي الدنيا عم تحولها منطقة صناعية؟ شو عم تعملوا؟ كل الدنيا شو عم تعملوا؟ اللي بيمحي تاريخه وبيمحي نحن لحظة بهي الدنيا. في اشياء قبلك واشياء بعدك. كيف عم تجي تدمر نيحة؟ During 1958, Camille Shamroun was president, and he was a very close friend to my father. And he was living in the Untari Palace, that was the presidential palace in Beirut. And the military people stood aside, the army didn't interfere. He was backed by the قوى الأمن الداخلي. My father used to send him support, ammunition and food for his men. So this made a impact on the people against Camille Shamroun, and they bombed our house and started to shoot at our house. And they were about to kill my father. The remains of the bombing and the bazookas are still on the walls. My father used to live here. This was his house, this was his land. We have a lot of land in Niha at that time. He and his brothers and our neighbors, the Harawi family, they used to invest in the land, the agriculture, and the distilleries that used to be. It was the main source of living, so Niha was our place. I was too young, but my father used to tell me that By luck, you escaped the bazooka that exploded. He told me that you have skipped death by a miracle. Things has changed. Lebanon has changed. The demography, the political system, the people, everything is changing. Lebanon is no longer Lebanon that we used to live in. An advanced, cultural, civilized way of life and way of thinking and openness and mind and freedom in the Middle East. We no longer experience it. This is not Lebanon. Our money used to have an impact in the international market. India took a loan from Lebanon, 50 million Lebanese pounds, in the name of Jawahir al-Nahru. The standard of universities, the connection between cultures and the communication. What are we experiencing now? Everything that made Lebanon, you can no longer experience it. What are we living now? We are getting away from humanity. What has been done has been done. The destruction, the looting, what will remain of history, what will remain of a reflection of the past. At least you should know something about the past to respect it, to keep it in a good condition and try to make what's the best of us. Not to make it an industry, a plastic factory, a metal factory. That's what they are trying to do. I think it's a temple of a decision and a plan, a group that can control everything, and people will be moved as masses. They cannot question the decision and the directions. They cannot criticize them. You cannot argue, and around you no one will hear it. Affecting the genetic code of humanity. Temples that will change humanity into slaves. No questioning. Giant ideas, propaganda, mass media, it will affect your judgment. I don't know why I feel peace when I am here. I feel I am piece of this whole world of Niha. Maybe part of its nature, its wind, its land. I cannot put it in words. If you go from the feeling to the way of life, I have still some land, a good part of land that I am using. I have the distillery. I know the people. I am well known. Some of them are friends. You can communicate. If you go to the part of into analysis about things, man has been present since the beginning of humanity in nature. Question, who are we? Why we come? What is our role? What is life is offering me? It's time to stop struggling and fighting again. Self-conviction. At a certain age, when you start to think with all the means and the power to make things stand by principles of ethics, work, family patterns, social patterns, working means, business means, I'm trying to do all that I can, sometimes more than I can. If the second or the 10th generation will stay or they will not stay, there are things not in the human hand. Did the Romans said that empire will fall? Did the Soviet Union know they will fall? These things are not in the hand nor in the control of the human. if you look at anything in this nature and you see the greatness and the beauty and the complexity. Now we are looking at the temple. Look at this nature, presence, how we continue. As they say in Arabic, وَتُقَدِّرُونَ وَتَضْحَكُ الْأَقْدَارُ. Sometimes we have to accept things going on in this universe. You know, it is a human satisfaction sometimes if you find someone listening or willing to hear. Gives human being a relief. I don't know why. This is my beloved village. I cannot tell you how much I care and I love this village, and I cannot explain why, believe me. Even if I suffer, if I lose, if I was hurt, maybe we're born here, I don't know. كان يقول له ربي ما عبدتك خوفا منك وما عبدتك طمعا بجنتك إنما رأيتك أهلا للعبادة فعبدتك. He looked at this universe. تطلع قديش في عظمة بالدنيا. أنا بضل أقول للناس لو بيقدروا يتخطوا هاي الخطوة we can live a different life. الإنسانية والتكاتف والركض على بعض مختلف عن هلا. كنت تعيط يركضوا الناس على بعض، تكون مثلا عم تعمل كشك يركضوا يساعدوا بعض. disregarding مين اللي بيساعد مين أكتر من مين معك. ما في، كنت يموت حدا تجتمع الضيعة. listen this small village. اليوم بتفوت على التفونة ناس ما بيجوا عزوا ناس بالمرض والموت، ما في حساب. مين رح ياخد معه شيء؟ في سيرش عملك تنبش على الإنسان، بتطلع عودي اللي عم بدمروا الأثر. هو ناس شفنا الخارطة وشفنا العلامة وشفنا هيدي ومدري شو. I have pieces of land فيه إثارات رومانية وبتفتح البوكس they are signs of a cemetery. I never opened the cemetery.